I want to dig into how you've created such a strong team culture.
I've built out this document called Questions to Build Your Vision. And it basically asks them, what are some of your goals personally and professionally? How long do you feel it's going to take? And some of them, they are personal. I want to know like a personal goal of theirs too. And that builds culture because we show up for each other and we know what's going on in the background of, hey, this is something I really want to do.
This is the Agent Goldmine, where you'll find real talk, and ambition. We're here to build real businesses and be more than your average agent. We want to know what killers are actually doing within their businesses, the reality of it, all tactical, no fluff. So we're here to find out. Please share and enjoy.
Bridgett!
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Bridgett in the house. So excited to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
This is our first episode that we're doing that's half in person, half not. So we're testing this out. Might work, might not. Thank you so much for coming over, for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to get to know your business further. We're going to ask a ton of questions. Get ready for it.
I'm ready.
I want to tell the world how I know you and how we met. You've been an agent for a very long time, way more than I've been an agent. I've been an agent for just less than 2 years. And as soon as I entered the business, I saw your name, saw Tucson Agent, saw Tucson Agents everywhere. And I was like, this girl's like, she got a good crew. We almost had one listing or one transaction together where you were the listing agent. I was the buyer's agent. That one didn't end up working out. My buyers went somewhere else. But I'm super excited to dig deep in this episode into your business and how you've run things, because you've been someone that I've admired for a long time.
Thank you.
Yeah. So with that, Shelby's going to start with the stats.
Okay, well, that's how you guys know each other. I'm meeting you for the very first time, Bridgett, and I'm so excited. But I have some stats here for everyone. So Bridgett has been an agent for 14 years and has closed 22 year to date this year. It's June. We're halfway, barely. And has closed literally hundreds of homes over her span of being an agent, over 100 million in volume and 430 plus closings. She is a team leader. She has 3 agents and herself. And you started your office out of the back of a plumbing company in 2009, listing and selling foreclosures. So we definitely have to dig into that shortly. But you know how we do it. We cannot get in deep until we know your show moment. So hit us with your show moment.
All right, this one's rough. It was April of 2020. And I had been given a VIP client. It was family. It was a buyer. They're having another child. We were under contract and discussing the BINSR, right? So the repair requests from the seller. And it's quarantine, right? So I'm home and I'm on my speakerphone and I'm multitasking. I'm outside picking up little fluffs from a stuffed animal that my dog had shredded, right? And I'm talking to them and I'm picking up these little fluffs. Did not need to be doing that, right? But as I'm going to put them into the trash can, which is through a gate on the side of my house, I had a barbell at home because we're working out at home, right? So this barbell is leaning up against the side of my house. I had just brought it home maybe a week prior from my gym, who so graciously lent it out. Shout out 244. So I go through the gate. I'm on the phone. We're talking. It's getting kind of, it's stressful. I throw away the little fluff. And as I turn around to open the gate, the barbell had shifted and it came right down on my head. Right at me. I throw my phone. Buyer's still talking. I turn around and I'm down on my knees because I feel like someone just came for me. Like I'm ready to get up swinging like I'm in a fight, because I had no idea what hit me in the moment. But I just sort of hear a muffled yeah, and so that's what we'll do. And I go, okay, sounds good. I'll follow up soon. The signature realtor line, getting off the phone, help me, right? And I get up and I go inside and my son's in there playing video games or whatever. And I'm just looking for ice. And it turns out, I don't know, I was probably concussed. Who knows? But I'll show you pictures.
Yeah.
I looked like Mickey Rourke. Like my face was like, I had 2 black eyes for weeks. My whole face was just this puffy. Buyer ended up firing us. Doesn't happen often, but I felt like it's hard for me to talk about. Like I'm sweating because it was this really important person that I really wanted to take care of. And I literally got knocked out mid-conversation and it just fell apart from there.
Oh my gosh.
Quarantine.
Wow. Did you ever further clarify what they wanted as a request?
I don't remember anything that happened after that. And I don't think have talked to them to this day.
Oh my God. They came for you, that barbell.
I had to get the sense knocked into me. I don't know what, I was ready to fight though. I'm telling you, I got up who got in my backyard all of a sudden? And it was just me versus me.
Oh my gosh.
Just trying to stay in shape,
Yeah. So lesson learned is not pick fluffs.
Don't do meaningless tasks while you're talking to a client on speakerphone. Just stay focused.
Yeah.
Time block.
Yeah.
Stay in the moment because you can literally get hurt.
Yeah.
Get knocked out. Uh-huh.
And people sense that too, when you're on the phone with somebody and you can tell when somebody's distracted, I think. For the most part, unless they're super good, as long as they're not getting knocked out.
Yeah. I just want to know what that sounded like on their end. If they heard the impact, the throw, the scuffle to the ground, the did they talk about that after when they hung up? Were they that was kind of weird. She just ran off the phone right in the middle of the conversation. I never got that clarity. What happened.
Dude, we should live call them.
Sorry.
Just kidding. We'll zoom them in right now. No, just kidding.
Tomorrow.
Okay, well, I have to know now, because normally what we do at this point is we're okay, what happened before real estate? And you kind of gave us a teaser with this, you started the office out of the back of a plumbing company in 2009. So can you talk through your beginnings up to where you are now?
Yeah, so I came to Tucson from Minnesota for college in 2004. I graduated in 2008, and that was just, the economy was trash. There were no jobs. All my friends were moving back home with their parents, and I wanted to figure out how to make it work here in Tucson. So I found a little part-time job as a marketing coordinator for a local plumbing company. Shout out Silverado, Rooter and Plumbing. They were a small operation back then, maybe 3 or 4 trucks, and now they have over maybe 20 or 30. So I'm super proud to say I started with them. But I was their marketing gal. And the owner operator of that company also had real estate investments. And so after about a year of doing marketing, working with a lot of the property management companies that they had accounts with, his Tucson agent, who was going to get licensed, kind of fell by the wayside. And he looked at me, and I'm 7 months pregnant with my son at the time, getting paid, my little $13.50 an hour or whatever, getting ready to do my little maternity leave. And he looks at me and he's like, all right, she's out. Why don't you get your license? And I'm like, I went to college. I'm not going to be a realtor.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm working hourly part-time, but I was just that never occurred to me to get into real estate, because they always tell you, you have a degree, here's what you can do with that degree, not what you can do with your life, So he tells me, why don't you get your license? So I looked into it. Hogan had evening classes. I worked from 9 to 2. I went to real estate school from 5:30 to 8:30, super pregnant, had my son, took my test, and was licensed at the end of that year. So that's why it's so easy for me to remember how long I've been licensed, because it's the literal exact age of my son. So I got licensed that year. Yeah. And he introduced me to a mentor out of Phoenix who had relationships with the banks. And so I started doing BPOs, broker price opinions, and they were paid. But I was just, churning those out and getting market knowledge that way. And then 10 months later, the bank gave me a listing opportunity, right? So you're tracked and all your tasks are graded. And when you get to a certain level, it's all right, she can take it. So It was on 36th and Campbell. I had to break in through a window, do an occupancy check, complete all these tasks. If it's occupied, you do a cash for keys. So I was learning the ins and outs of what it meant to list a foreclosure. And once I got through that first one, then they just came out in rolls. I would get, 3 or 4 or 5 at a time, and I'd be running all over town, checking occupancy, doing cash for keys, managing the trash outs, the clean outs, getting photos up, listing them and selling them. So it was a very perfunctory role, right? Where I'm just in it and I'm telling banks straight up, like, rip out the carpet, list it at this price, you need to do this, that. It was very non-emotional. Mm-hmm. And then that foreclosure era lasted. So in my second year, I sold 62 houses. Like, it went really quickly. So I got a lot of transactional experience up front in seeing, what issues could come up on appraisals and things like that. But what I didn't get was client relationship skills. So when the market turned for the better in 2013, 14, I'm putting a sign in the yard and I'm talking to them in 30 days. And these people are like, excuse me, what's going on with my house? Mm. And I'm like, what do you mean? It hasn't even been 30 days. Like, I had to really relearn how to do real estate from a client perspective, where I'm sitting with mom and dad at the dining room table and being like, oh yes, the shag carpet that was grandma's is beautiful and we must remove it.
Must go.
Gently, And so I have a lot of rough stories from the beginning of my traditional real estate career, where I was still running around like a dog, like, all right, rip that out, do that. I'll talk to you later. There's a sign in the yard. Like, you don't need me for anything, right? Compared to how I am now with people. Yeah. And I'm like, I know their birthdays. I know their wedding anniversaries. I can feel their emotions, right? It was so hard for me at first. But that's how I got into it. I was introduced to it by someone who saw the potential in me, and I just went with it. So
it is such a freaking cool start. I have to ask, I know we have so much to dig into, but the foreclosure thing, we haven't talked about that with anyone so far on the podcast at all. So, and back in my day in Fayetteville, there was a lot of VA specific foreclosures because it was outside of a military base. But what type of foreclosures did you work with?
I mean, it was everything. I mean, there were a lot of families. Yeah, there were a lot of families that were given loans that they could never perform on. And there were a lot that were tenants. So I would be the bad guy knocking on the door saying, hey, do you own or rent this house? Oh, we're renting. Yeah, the bank owns this house now. And you have 3 weeks to get out, and they'll give you X amount of money, to do that. And so I would negotiate and I would be helping these families, and it was heartbreaking, right? I'm just the messenger. But I was able to help, a lot of these families were ready for their next chapter. There were owners too that were it was a relief finally getting me to knock on the door and be like, yo, this is what's happening now. And I'm here. If you can get out in 2 weeks, that money goes up, 50%. Right? Mm-hmm. If you can get out in 10 days, I can maybe negotiate a little more. So it helps people transition out of this dark place where they're not answering their phone, they're not checking their mail, into all right, let's just go get ourselves reestablished, after that foreclosure. So, I saw a lot.
And so were they not, and this is probably just because I'm not super familiar with foreclosures, I was never listing them, but I thought there were different types, a VA foreclosure, there's a HUD foreclosure, banks. Is that a thing? Or were you just all of the foreclosures? I just curious how it worked.
It was more specific to certain servicers. So certain asset management companies had reels of foreclosed properties that they would need to match with a listing agent in that market to get off their books. I didn't do a lot of the HUD homes or auctions. There were a few auctions in there that I had dabbled with, but it was more so, bigger servicing companies, asset management companies, banks that had these non-performing loans that they needed to get off their books, and the asset was there, and I was the boots on the ground person.
Okay. Totally makes sense. And I have a million more questions in that, but I won't hold it up. Allie, what you got?
I'm here for it.
So you went from something that was heartbreaking, but like, I don't know what the right word for this is, but you just had to do something so repetitive that you can become jaded, to then relearning the business in like the client care and lovey-dovey and, everything that it means to be like today's, feeler agent, which you're so good at. Like when you told that story, I can't even imagine you doing that, like I can't imagine you having those conversations being like, hey, you got to go, like I can't, I don't know. So you've come such a long way. What were like some of the learning points along the way to being the agent that you are today with the team that you have now?
Yeah. So, I learned a lot as a team member, right? So I started on a team with a mentor, or a team lead, and she was in a different market than I was. She was up in Phoenix. And so I was very self-starting, and I had to make my own connections just in terms of a network of vendors, of, help of agents of title companies, things like that. But I still had someone that was, helping me with the transactional piece. So when I formed my team in 2018, I took from my experience and I created what I would have wanted as a team member. But also keeping in mind my role as the team lead and how I need to structure it that way as well. So I learned a lot from experience. So it took a really long time, because experience takes time. So I also learned a lot on the job, right? My first traditional listing was on Rudisill, 720 East Rudisill. And this is a client that I actually just listed a house for yesterday. So it comes full circle, but I messed up. I messed up. I put the sign in the yard and I didn't talk to him. And he's like, Bridgett, what's going on with the house? And I'm like, I don't know. It's been 24 days. Give me a week, And he's like, what is going on? And now it's like, we talk to our clients before we list it, when we list it, right after we list it, the day after we list it, when nothing's going on, when something's going on, like there's so much communication. So I learned a lot the hard way. I learned a lot by failing. I learned a lot by being unhappy and trying to make it better.
We love your DMs on Instagram, and as long as you don't sound like a bot or aren't sharing your overnight crypto success, hit us up on Instagram. Let's be friends. We're at The Shelby Show and at Allie the Agent.
So did you go so we had the foreclosure era. I love that you called it that, by the way. And then was that the era, were you still on that same team from the team leader who was in Phoenix during that era? Or like when, I guess, when did the team era end, when you were an agent on the team, to the team leader era? And was there a solo agent period in between?
No solo agent. I went from team member to team lead. In 2018.
That's okay, cool. Yeah. And I was also, go for it, Allie.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just I feel like that is a super interesting transition, that most people have like a solo period, agent time in between. So when you were leaving the other team to start your own, did you already have like team members lined up? Or like, I guess, how did that process look like, that transition look like?
No, I didn't have any team members lined up. I really knew what I wanted to do and what I wanted to build. And I had brought on another Tucson agent to that team, who, when I decided to start my own, I just said, listen, this is what I'm doing. And it was very quick. It was like, I notified her, I notified my team lead, and I went my separate way. And she thought about it for like a second and then came with me. So it, made sense. I was here, right? But she's like, let me think. Sure. So, so that's where it formed. It formed from, me and this other agent. We built up really quickly with a great group of women. And then, I was in this, I want the baby birds to fly the nest. I want people to be independent. I was in my team member mindset, right? Of like, I want what I wanted, which is to go fly. So I'm going to help these people fly. So they flew. And then I was like, oh, wait, now don't have a team anymore, So they flew and they're on their own and we still, have a good relationship. But again, Matt LaBazzetta connected me with an agent who was on another team at a different brokerage who wasn't happy. I met with her over coffee, and that's Erica, who's my lead buyer specialist now, and she's in her 5th year. So I'm growing from a really stable foundation now of people who want to be part of a team and want to stay part of a team. And of course, there's going to be people that want to move on and go on their own, and I'm here to support that. But I'm really looking to build something that's going to stay together long term, and I feel like we have that. So it's been I'm learning through my experience.
And that is so hard to do, is build a team where the agents stay. It's so much easier said than done, because majority of the time you build a team, you pour so much time and effort, money into agents. And then they're like, thank you so much. I got it from here. Right. And then they dip. Yeah. So I super want to dig into this. Yeah, they're like, peace. I want to dig into how you've created such a strong team culture. Take it from there.
Oh, team culture. Yeah, that's huge for me. So I guess I'll just jump into our structure, of our week, because I think that's really where our culture is built, is time spent together. When someone comes onto my team, I've built out this document called Questions to Build Your Vision. And it basically asks them, what do you want to see it from this? What are some of your goals personally and professionally? How long do you feel it's going to take to get you there? Because I'm not going to set that for somebody. If someone comes in super realistic, then cool, we'll go from there. If someone comes in and they're like, well, I want to sell this many homes in this much time. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about that. This is ambitious and I'd love to get you there, but here's what, the trajectory might look like. It takes time to build. So the Questions to Build Your Vision is the number one thing for me to, number one, understand who I'm talking to and if we're a good fit and if I can help them achieve their goals and if they're going to be happy. So that is something that I think helps me understand, who's in and who's maybe someone that can go do that on their own.
So is that a questionnaire, like multiple questions? Because I have found, and I'm sure that Shelby, maybe you're in the same line of thinking here too, where when I ask typically newer agent, or sometimes just already a seasoned agent that's looking to jump ship, hey, what are your goals? They don't know, and how am I don't even want to put any words into their mouth because those are reflections of my goals. Right. So how many questions do you ask them? How do you get to know their true goal?
So everyone knows, I guess not everyone, but people generally know how much it costs them to live in 1 month. How much does it cost? How much does my life cost? And what are my dreams? And how much do I want to make in a year? Mm-hmm. So I just, that's one of the questions. How much do you want to make in a year? They say, okay, I want to make $80,000. Okay, cool. Average purchase price in Tucson is about $370,000. So let's work back from $370,000 with your splits, with commission. How many transactions do you have to do to net $80,000? So I help them, figure out transactionally where they need to be. So we work backwards from the amount of money they want to take home. And then we build up from a foundation of the activities that are going to be required in order to hit that transactional number.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So
absolutely.
and some of them, they are personal. I want to know a personal goal of theirs too. And that builds culture because we show up for each other and we know what's going on in the background of, hey, this is something I really want to do. I want a new car. I want, to work out 4 times a week. I want to, whatever it is. Now we meet at the end of that year, close to the end of the year, and say, let's look at what you said a year ago. What are your fears? What are you afraid of? And it's fun because with Erica, we can look at her fear, and it's like, really? I was afraid of that? She's grown past it and grown out of it, but knowing what it is the key to changing it and overcoming it. If you don't talk about it, you can't grow. You can't change. You can't, you know what I mean? Overcome it. So, the questionnaire, and I can upload that too. I can share that with you guys.
Yeah, we'll take it.
For sure.
And we want it all. Bridgett,
Yeah.
Give it to us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned when you're talking about these goals with these agents who are coming on and you're talking about in order to hit the goals, doing the activities required to hit them. I'm curious about the marketing piece / I guess lead generation piece in your team. Like, what is that? Does the team leader provide all of the leads? Like, what are the agents expected to do in regard to lead gen? What does that look like?
So my belief system, my value system is around teaching people to fish. So while I do bring a lot of business in from my network and from my experience and from the Berkshire network, my primary goal is to teach them how to go get their own business, because that's going to be the most sustainable way to build wealth and success in real estate, is having your own network, your own sphere. So everything we do is organic for the most part. I don't invest in call lists. We don't even really do paid advertising. We spend our marketing dollars on, I think the most postcards, like mailers, around a new listing. And then we follow up with door knocking. So a lot of what we do is it's my favorite phrase, like boots on the ground. Yeah. Like you got to be out there. You got to be in front of people because, and I knocked on a lot of doors in the beginning of my career, like a lot, and I teach them, we don't need to be with a polo and a clipboard and the visor. And you know what I mean? It's like, just show up as who you are. After our workout, bring 10 or 15 flyers and go knock 10 or 15 doors after you get your protein shake and you're already sweaty anyway. And people are going to respect the fact that you're out here in these streets being like, hey, can I help you? Do you need anything? Mm-hmm. Are you thinking of selling at all? Do you know anyone that's thinking of selling? Do you need a roofer? Do you need a landscaper? I have resources. Do you want to just know how much your house is worth? Is your mom moving home soon? Like all these different life events that cause people to need a realtor. I just put ourselves in front of those people. When you're a new agent on my team, you're required to hold 2 open houses a week until you're closing at least 1 transaction a month consistently. So, but once they're closing that 1 transaction a month, they're realizing a lot of that's coming from the open house activities. So they don't really stop it, right? Because they see that it works, and it's annoying and it's frustrating. And I've talked to other agents that are like, yeah, they just don't work. Open houses don't work. It's like, okay, well, how many have you done? I did like 7. And you're like, okay, you got to do like 7 a month, like minimum. Like you just got to keep doing it and putting yourself out there, because it's twofold, right? It's the people that walk through the door, and it's also the exposure that you give through the marketing of what you're doing. You could have no one walk through the door, but 40 people see you on Instagram doing what you're doing and remember you for that. Mm-hmm. So, among other things, I don't want to ramble on, but that's how we lead gen, is really through lifestyle,
Gotcha. That's exactly what I was asking for. Like, I love the requirement of 2 open houses a week until you're closing 1 a month consistently. Love that. That's awesome. And then the mailers, that makes sense too. Door knocking. Is there anything else we're missing that is like either a requirement or something you guys do consistently?
So our weekly structure is very consistent. We have an accountability meeting every Monday. So we meet at 10 a.m. and prior to the last 12 weeks, we would go through everything we did that week. So the open houses, the door knockings, anyone that we've met, anyone we added to our sphere, we talk about that. We make sure we did what we said we'd do at the last week's accountability meeting. And then at the second part of that accountability meeting is setting those activities for the week. So put that in the calendar. We have a shared calendar. Everyone can see it. You want a door knock, open houses, everything needs to be set on Monday so that the rest of the week, you're just preparing for it. You're doing your Canva, you're doing your flyers, it's already set for you on Mondays. The last 12 weeks, we've turned our accountability meetings into workouts. So again, Matt Lavazetta sponsored a workout for us on a Saturday for some of his agents. And we all showed up. A couple other agents from EXP showed up as well. And we love the trainer. We love the environment. And we just instantly bonded over it. So I'm like, let's do this. Like, we need to do this together. So I signed us up, and we're on our 12th week working with Jade Blair at the gym of Tucson. And it's really brought us together because we're doing our 1 rep max on squat and we're, seeing each other get a little uncomfortable and we're pushing each other and we're supporting each other. And it's just working all that energy out. It's a stressful business, So having that touchstone of physical movement on a Monday and setting the tone for the week has been awesome. And then Tuesdays is our pipeline meeting. So we use Trello to communicate, to keep track of our clients and what's going on. And at 9 a.m. sharp, I start and we go through everyone's business, and it's popcorn style. So I don't just go through Erica's business and Adrian and Elizabeth are like off in la-la. Everyone's engaged because they don't know who's coming next. And it's sort of, like sourcing the training at once, because when I'm helping Adrian with an obstacle, then Erica and Elizabeth are also getting that training of like, oh, okay, this is how I could approach that person that's not answering me. So it's a little bit of group, but I don't spend too much time on the one-on-ones. We get through that pipeline really quickly. Okay. So Wednesday's kind of a catch-all day. Each person does have an office day where they're required to be in the office, because we do get a lot of walk-ins and we get phone calls. And so I want a member of my team in the office to capture those, again, natural referrals that come in. So Wednesdays are a catch-all. Thursday, we do education meetings at 9 a.m. and I keep my meetings to 59 minutes. I'm very respectful of people's time. I want them to respect my time. And if I don't have value, I'm not going to have a meeting. So I come correct. I start on time. I end on time. And we'll, go through every page of the contract. We did that for our education meetings, every line of the contract. And it took an hour to get through section 1, and that's just the property information. But I want my agents to feel confident when they're sending this really important document over to be able to answer questions from the client, or at least know the sections of the contract. Like, we need to know that. It's surprising how many agents just throw that DocuSign out there and it's like, I don't know, whatever that means. So that was really important to me to get through the contract. But now, we share things from CE. Well, sometimes it'll be, hey, everyone bring a piece of value from a podcast or a book or something you read, and we'll collaborate on education. Changes in the contract. Maybe we'll hit a webinar or a Zoom or something that was scheduled for that time. So Thursday's all about education. And then Fridays, we hit the Tucson Association of Realtors home tour. Every Friday morning, they meet at PF Chang's and they caravan to other agents' listings and give feedback. And there's a pitch contest in the beginning. So you have 60 seconds to pitch your listing, and it's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable to stand up in front of your peers and try to sing a song and win a little certificate, but I make them do it. And I've been in there. We have all these framed certificates, Marketing Star Award. I'm like, we're filling this wall. Get up there, sing a song, write a poem. But it gets them out of their comfort zone. It got me out of my comfort zone, so that when you knock on a door, you're like, I just sang, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star at PF Chang's on a Friday morning. Like, I can do this. You know what I mean? But it's also good market exposure for them to open doors, kind of get some, eavesdrop on how other agents look at things, what they think about things. And you're done by 11 and we're right up the street from the office. So it's encouraging my people to get into town, into the office on a Friday when they might be tempted to just, chill out for the weekend before the open houses start. And then once a month on Fridays, instead of home tour, we go to Creative Mornings, which is a small group in town that meets. It's open, it's free to the public, and it's full of all different types of creatives. So photographers, artists, musicians, nonprofits. And there's a speaker. There's a small networking hour in the beginning, and then there's a speaker on a different topic. And that just kind of gets us, in the community, learning, of, new different subsets of our culture here. And, again, just networking, getting out there. And there is a 30-second pitch there too. So just getting us uncomfortable, but we run that every single week. And that's what I uploaded, as my nugget, because I felt like in the masterminds I'm in, team leads just want to know how to structure their week, what to tell their people to do,
Yes. And everyone can find that at theagentgoldmine.com. Bridgett was kind enough to share that. And I love how detailed it is and organized, like a whole slide for what Monday is, what Tuesday is, what Wednesday is. So thank you so much for sharing that. I don't think I caught scripts. At what point do you practice scripts with the agents? Is it as they're working through, transactions? How does that go?
Yo, real quick, this podcast is not free. Cost of admission is sharing with a buddy who'd benefit or throwing it on your Instagram story. Tag us. We'll reshare that.
Yeah, so I don't have any scripts, but I do in those pipeline meetings when we're overcoming obstacles or they're telling me, hey, or accountability meetings too, so when did you call her? Yesterday. Okay, how did that go? Well, I asked her this. Okay, how about, next time? Like we're learning kind of on the fly because every situation's a little different, but they take their notes and they're forming their own approach and their own language based on the success I've had with my approach and my language. So I encourage them to make it their own. But there's a lot of just hands-on training based on the unique situations that they're in. Scripts in terms of knocking on a door, we definitely go through that. So when we're, in the very beginning, when we're talking about, all right, door knocking, here's what that looks like. Here's some opportunities. Here's how to connect. I'm throwing out ideas and they're scribbling everything down, but I trust that they can naturally approach it the way that feels comfortable to them. They're open and honest with me and how they approached it. So I can give them open and honest feedback, right? Because if you're not honest with your mentor and you're saying, yeah, it went great, but you're not getting business, you're not doing yourself any good. Yeah. You got to tell them, yeah, I said, if you want to call me, you can. And then I'll be like, let's reframe that a little bit, and just say, hey, when can I call you? Are you available on Tuesday morning or on Wednesday morning? And keep that open communication. So that's a little bit how I run scripts. It's more of an approach, and they create their own style.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've caught a glimpse of that at one of the trainings that we went to with Matt. I forget the topic, and I forget if I was sitting right behind you or right in front of you. Either way, I heard you talking to the team like, hey, this shift in the market occurred. This is how buyers are going to view it. And this is how you can talk to sellers. So, and then from there, they create their own verbiage, but you give them the how does this affect a buyer? How does this affect a seller? So I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear you, girl.
It's natural.
I love that. Yeah. And that'd be really powerful to just even hear, like hearing the people. And I love what you're doing in regard to like leverage about, the Tucson Association of Realtor, like home tours. Like that's really good for them to get out and view the market, but also what you said about listening to other agents, how they think about it, the things they take note of. And that's huge leverage for you too. Where it's like a lot of times team leaders feel this need to train everything on their own, and if they don't, then maybe their team won't think that they're the end all be all. But by experience, like exposing your agents to a bunch of different perspectives and experiences, like that is so powerful.
What other types of leverage that do you, utilize in your business? So you don't have to do everything.
Oh, I like to do everything. No, when you say the word leverage, we are really big on leveraging our lifestyles as agents. So I guess that does take a lot off of me in terms of, saying, okay, this is what you need to do. Here's the structure. Here's how we implement it. I ask them, I'm like, all right, Adrian, what are you interested in? Oh, I like cars. And I go to this car show twice a month, Cars and Coffee. It's at, Lowe's on Ina, and then it's at Topgolf. And I like Tumamoc. I go to Tumamoc. I spend time with family. I am passionate about, giving back and financial literacy. And so I just go, all right, how do we get you in those communities and introduce you to enough people or create a little culture around what it is you already like to do so that it doesn't really feel like work? So that you do show up as your authentic, comfortable self because you're in your space that you're comfortable. You can talk cars. You can get up Tumamoc in 13 minutes or whatever. But that's a big piece of my approach when I'm training and when I'm trying to grow an agent's business is what do you like to do already? And then let's just put you in that comfortable, safe environment and also pull you out and make you really uncomfortable over here. But having that base of here's what you like to do. It's not going to look like Erica. It's not going to look like Elizaveta. And that's great because then everyone's kind of has their own little niche, right? And they feel really confident in that niche. And Adrian's been doing client education events every month. So new buyers coming in with Matt and discussing what it means to buy a house and what they need. And then Erica said, hey, I have someone that can come to that. Can I collab with you on the next one? And it's very shared opportunities. Me leveraging systems to save me time and energy it just kind of comes with the structure. Like once I establish that structure and the expectation and, the high level of communication that we have, I just feel really like a natural mentor to my agents, where they come to me with some high level ideas or obstacles that really they can't necessarily see for themselves yet, but I'm helping guide them, toward the solution on their own. So I've really enjoyed that, and not being so like in the nitty gritty of it, and more broad brush mindset, creativity, putting it on them. Like, what do you think would work? Like, how do you think you could get them to open the door? Let's try it. Right? Trying to think of anything else that I would leverage, but.
Well, do you have, do you have any admin support? So I know it's you and 3 agents, but do you have like a transaction coordinator or marketing or a ops or any other manpower?
Yeah. So I do have, like a part-time kind of freelance. She was our admin and she's gone off to start her own coffee truck, My Brew. Denise Lewis, she's amazing. So we're supporting her in that transition, but she's great. She'll pull up for me when I need, I do a lot of corporate relocation too. So there's BMA reports that need to be done. And she's really good with spreadsheets and data entry and keeping me organized. So she's been great. And I love supporting her journey too, as a business owner herself. And then transaction coordination. Yeah, I have someone that does all of our paperwork that I met through our company. So that lets us be in the streets and at the dining room tables. And, I tell.
Rapping at PF Chang's.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coming up with sick beats. But yeah, so I definitely have,
And is your TC, is that like pay at close, or is she like in-house? Or you know what I mean? Do you pay her at the end of the contract, or is she on like a salary? Okay. Gotcha. Perfect.
No.
Love not having overhead. Damn, because the team overhead can get, and maybe it doesn't. What does your what do your expenses look like in supporting your team members?
Yeah.
If you also don't have to go that direction if you don't want to. I was just curious.
No. Yeah, I keep my overhead as low as possible. And I'm like that in my personal life too. I live well below my means. I've had my car paid off, little 2014 Ford Fusion. Like, I'm not trying to show off, right? Like, I'm just trying to keep my bills like super low. So I haven't had a car payment in 3 years, and I pour everything into my business. And every time I get tempted to go pop off and buy a new car, I'm like, where can I put that into the business? And you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Make that money work for me.
Yeah. Right.
And I look at that, I look at my commissions that way too. Like, a large portion of my commission, I just put right back into the business. So, I take care of my people. I'll say that. We went to convention in Vegas, and I want to make sure that there's no obstacle for them to get that education and that support and that experience, because we bonded so closely, at those events. And you do get a lot of education, and it is a lot of rah-rah, and it's a lot of, recognition. And it's, we want to be an award winner on the stage and things like that. So I treated them to, convention in Vegas, and whatever they, want to do marketing wise. I always tell them, I'm here to support you. You have an idea, bring it to me. Let's talk about it. Let's make sure we're spending our dollars wisely. And I have that for you available. Closing gifts. I don't want anyone skimping on closing gifts. Like, I want to support that. So I provide that. But overhead, like I said, I don't do a lot of paid advertising.
Do you, you mentioned Trello before for your pipeline, which I think is free. Allie and I both use Trello, which is awesome that you use it too. And so is that like, is that also acting as like a CRM for you guys, or does all the agents like manage their own people until they go under contract and then they go in the Trello pipeline, or what does that look like?
So Trello, we have buyers, we have prospects, we have listings. So everyone you ever talk to would be in Trello. They'd have a card somewhere, and it's just the reminder to say, okay, who have I not touched yet this week or today? And it keeps your clients top of mind. So it is sort of acting like a CRM, but we do have a CRM in our, back office with Berkshire that they offer to us, which will help auto-populate if we're doing newsletters or they want to do, campaigns and things like that. And then, tracking our production, that's mostly at the brokerage level. I don't really have a system for that, honestly. So, Trello's free. I haven't found a CRM outside of my companies that they offer that I love. I mean, I think that's the big topic always on the forums. It's like, what CRM do you use? And I'm like, you know what? Trello works for us. It's user friendly. It, keeps us on top of our business. And until I find the right one, I'm not going to just jump into anything just because I went to a webinar on it. So, what our company offers is nice.
Yeah. Well, specifically with Trello, I find, I want to know how you color organize and more specifically how you organize things, because you guys do a ton of business. I know when I'm scrolling through my Trello, I don't even make it down all the way, So I will maybe finish my day with only going through I don't know, a third. Either way, point is I don't end up touching everybody. How do you make sure? Because Trello isn't the CRM that will tell you, hey, you didn't touch this person today.
You can set those reminders.
What?
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah. I got you.
Shelby, did you know that?
I got you, girl.
No.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh man, I still haven't talked to that person. This is my scrolling finger. I'm scrolling.
Yeah. They're color coded by agent, so you can sort it by agent, like Erica's pink, Elizabeth's dark blue, Adrian's orange. And so you just kind of, like I said, everything's popcorn, and it goes into the column of buyers who are actively looking, pre-qualified. We have prospects who we've met or maybe are getting pre-qualified. We keep our closings there. Anyone that's canceled or, dead to us.
Do you share that with anybody else aside from agents, like a lender or anybody else?
We just use it. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, you can set that to tell you. Are you kidding me? Oh, well, you can't think about that. I'll just know that now going forward.
This short pause is to tell you that this podcast ain't free. Y'all, tap on the 5 stars and leave a review with your Instagram handle. If you're funny, we might give you a shout out on the next episode. Thank you so much. Back to the show.
I also, I want to shift directions a little bit, but Shelby, do you have any other questions about leverage or CRM?
Shift, girl.
Okay. You spend money and you do a great job at community events. You have a charity event every month. Thank you for the invite. I love going, and it's a bunch of agents, and it's agents. I mean, you might also be inviting past clients, but I feel like you do something else for your past clients. Mm-hmm. But from what I've been to, you do charity events. Mm-hmm. What does that look like as far as, this sounds so cold, but return on investment? You're building up someone else's business, a local business, but talk more about how much goes into it, what money planning, and then the return.
Yeah. So really, this is my give back moment. I do a lot of, what am I doing to get a return on investment? Who am I talking to here? Da, da, da. This is purely for the community. And it just feeds into what our culture is about and who we are. And it, is something that I'm really passionate about. So whatever I'm passionate about, I want it to be in the forefront of my life so that I continue to operate on a high level and feel good about it. Mm-hmm. Because so often we get lost. Berkshire's a huge company. So in my listing presentation, I have a whole, section dedicated to what we do to give back, because with the presence that we have, we have a lot of power to do good. So, at Creative Mornings, when I do my 30-second pitch, I use that time not to pitch my team or my creation, but does anybody have anyone that they know that's a charitable cause or a local organization that needs physical donations? Please get in touch with me. And I have people every single week, every single month come up and let me know. And that's how I source a lot of the charities that I help, is through those networks and just asking people, hey, who do you know that needs help? Mm-hmm. Right. And then the aspect of getting a bunch of agents from different brokerages together. My brokerage is really small. We're a boutique firm here in Tucson. We're huge in other markets, but we're pretty small here. We're, experienced agents. We're very self-driven, self-managed. So for me, it's two parts, it's camaraderie and it's giving back. So getting agents that I've either done transactions with, who I'd like to do transactions with, who I feel is just of this similar mindset or same vibe or maybe same production or just same energy of wanting to give back. I mean, we have, I think 60 invites, every month now that we extend. And I feel that the more realtors can come together from different brokerages in that kind of setting. And it's just 2 hours. It's a happy hour. You bring the physical donation. Some people will, send a monetary donation and we'll go shopping. That's great. Money's always great, but I love the feeling of physical donations to then go drop off. But it's just a time to chat, to, talk real estate, to talk life, to not talk at all, but just see each other. That way, when your name is on a contract and it comes over, we have a relationship. Or, when the brokerage comes up in a conversation, I know agents from that brokerage, and it allows us to speak highly of each other and to, create a positive image of realtors in Tucson. And who knows where it'll go. I mean, this is the second year that we've been doing it, so it might turn into something bigger. But for right now, I'm just enjoying giving back and learning. It's hard work, when you are involved at that level in the community, you see a lot of hardship and what people are lacking and going through. But just knowing that we give a little bit and we make that difference. And then I'm allowing an avenue for people that want to give back, who may not have an idea of how. I'm giving them that avenue to walk down and say, hey, I did something good today,
Yeah. I like that a lot. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for footing the bill for my Moscow mules.
Oh yeah. And so with the cost aspect, yeah, I mean, it's Sonoran Wines has been great. Emily Bain there has donated wine, for the cause, and she'll even stay and pour. And that's a local vineyard here. But last week, she just dropped it off and was like, enjoy and take whatever home that you want. So sometimes we get sponsorships like that, but I'll invest in the little charcuterie boards and snacks and things like that. And then usually the local restaurant is happy, or the local establishment is happy to sponsor the space. And so, I mean, yeah, it cost me some money, but it's my moment to just give back and show people, how good it feels to give back.
From what I know from my experience, I think you're the only person in town that does it. I super look forward to going to the events, knowing you're supporting a small local business, and it's a feel good. Yeah, no, I like it a lot.
Well, I love having you there.
That's a great idea. Girl, I make it. I'm just kidding.
It'd be nothing without you.
Not like.
So that love the feel good. Of course, now I want to shift to what is the biggest struggle? You've done so much. You've built this team. You've been around in the industry for years, and you're giving back. But looking back, or even now currently, what do you feel like is the biggest struggle as a team leader?
Probably just the feeling of constantly feeling like I'm not doing enough. And that's in real estate in general. You can always be doing more. Personally though, really, if I'm being vulnerable and honest right now, I have this constant feeling that I need to be doing more for them at all times. And I know they're so grateful for me, and they show up, and they, I get handwritten letters of how much they appreciate me. And I know I do a lot, but I just always have that inherent feeling of, but I could do more. I could do this, I could do that. But from a business perspective, I think just, implementation is tough, for me personally, because it takes me a while to understand. I want to make sure I know why I'm implementing what I'm implementing and what I'm implementing. So we get pressured sometimes, with call lists or CRMs or things like that. It's well, what's your CRM? What's this? So you feel okay, I got to implement that. I just got to get it done. But I've rushed into something like that before and spent money and had it be the wrong thing. So for me, I have to have that right level of drive and resistance and patience to really do what's right. did this weekly structure come overnight? No, it started with one weekly meeting. And then I was like, you know what? We need more. And then it was, okay, now let's have a checkpoint on Monday. And then what could we do on Fridays? And then we need an empty space somewhere, So a lot of it, I think implementation has been the struggle because I just want to make sure I'm doing everything for the right reasons, and I like that about myself. I think you need to feel like you're not ever, when you feel like you've made it, like you're failing yourself, right? You always want to have a little bit more, to give, but it's hard.
I was going to say that's probably,
mama bear.
Yeah.
It's like, you're like, it's so mama bear of you of like always wanting to, no matter how, always wanting to, just give more to the agents that already know how much you give. Clearly, like I've seen the thank you gifts and like thank you cards handwritten. And so that's just like a testament to how strong your realtor bond is with your team. Like you have built a solid family.
Yeah, for sure.
As you look ahead, what's next? What's the next, 12 months or 5 years, whatever you want to share? What is the next piece of the agent puzzle or next goal on the horizon that you're aiming for?
Yeah. I'm just really focused on those questions to build your vision, getting those to fruition for them, for me, but mostly for my agents. So my immediate future just looks like, all right, where are we at? Like how many transactions have you done so far? We're at that midpoint. We have our Q2 accountability meeting on Monday where we're making sure that we're on track and then setting our goals for Q2 or Q3. But I just really my future looks like staying focused and present with the people that believe in me and show up for me and pouring back into them and making sure I'm showing up for them and just watching the growth come from there. Everyone has really ambitious and realistic goals that I know they can hit. And so every day I'm showing up just to make sure they know I'm here and that I believe in them. And I think from there, so would I like to grow the team? Yes. And I want to do that from a very authentic, grounded, strong foundation place where I've had people approach me and say, hey, can I, meet with you? Can I join? Can I understand more? It's not for everybody. My structure is not for everybody, but it's for my people. So I have to stay really true to who I am and not, I don't have a desire to grow a kindergarten classroom of agents with my structure. It's just not built for that. I want everyone to feel very seen and, have my attention and my time. That's really important to me where I'm at right now. So that's where I'm staying until next year. We'll see.
I'm excited to see your growth.
Thank you.
I'm super excited. And I hope that we do have a transaction at some point before I take off out of Tucson.
I think we can make that happen.
Let's make that happen. You heard it here first. Shelby, do you want to go into the wrap-up questions?
Yeah, I was going to ask if there's any parting words or anything that you wanted to share that you didn't have an opportunity to before we go into our wrap-up. It's okay if you say no. I feel like I'm asking such hard questions. Sorry.
No, you're not. It's great. This is the first time I've ever really been asked these questions about my business. So this is new for me too. I'm like, who am I really? So it's good. I think, I don't know. The takeaway for me as a person, as a realtor is just my mindset. And I think that's something that there's a lot of tools and there's a lot of systems and there's a lot of opportunities to learn and to be coached and, to Google everything you want. But I feel like what I bring to the table is that attention to mindset. And if every agent can really spend time with themselves and understand how they operate and what lights them up and what brings them down, that's what I'm here to do. So it's a little like woo-woo sometimes. But I do believe that you attract what you are. So the more real estate's a very personal business. You have to understand who you are as a person and operate from a center. And I have this quote framed in our office it's an Alan Watts quote, and it's, stay in your center and you'll be ready to move in any direction. So, wake up early in the morning, get yourself centered, because real estate pulls you in so many different directions. And if I have no center and I have an engineer that's pulled me over here, and then all of a sudden I have an artist that's pulling me this way, that's a long spectrum for me to travel in a short period of time, where if I stay here, I know who I am, I can show up for this person, I can come back to who I am. It's more sustainable. It's more fulfilling for everybody. You're not trying to show up in a way that isn't authentically you. So I work on that a lot with my team. And I think the entire real estate community as a whole can benefit from just really tuning into who they are and staying true to that, knowing there's enough business to go around. And if that person's not for you, turn them into a referral fee. You don't want to drag someone down the road, have a horrible experience just because you wanted that full check. Sometimes people are referral fees. So I think that's just, maybe my parting words is find your center and pour into yourself first, and the rest will come your way.
Love it. I love that. I'm eating it up. I'm all about the woo woo. Just do it. Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up now. Allie, I know that you don't have our notes like normal, but do you remember the first wrap up question?
I know all of them. What is your favorite app? What is your favorite app or tool that you use, either personal life or real estate?
App like appetizer?
Girl, that too.
Like mozzarella sticks?
Like mozzarella
with some
sticks.
marinara? My favorite app or tool, I love the MLS. It gives me hell sometimes, but if I'm getting nerdy, I like the Pima County GIS. To use that website. It's like where you find everything, utilities and schools and zoning and airports. And that's a tool besides business that I put my agents on immediately, because you can find out so much that your clients ask you about permits and history of all that. It's all right there. You don't have to go digging. What we need is an HOA tool like that.
Yeah, where you can control F. Not just get the CC&Rs, but like control F. Can I park in the street?
Or who manages this neighborhood? Who is the person? I need that. But yeah, the GIS, I love that.
Yeah.
I geek out on that little site.
Nice.
Perfect. What events are you going to this year, if any?
Well, we have a couple small conventions coming up in August and September. The one in August is in Palm Desert, and that's with Home Services, our parent company. It's called Stronger Together, and it's our first year going. I'm super excited for that. And then in September is our summit conference, and that's for the top, % of the company.
Ooh.
And it's in Hawaii, and it's really intimate. So our main convention that's in usually February or March every year, we attract up to maybe 6,000 agents. This one's more like 300. So you get really, really good masterminds and really, really good content. So those are the major events that we'll be attending this year. And then our convention next year is in New Orleans. So that'll be fun as a team to go.
Yes. The one in Hawaii, is that you only or your team?
Yeah, I'll just go as the team lead. I go to Summit. And that one, what was I going to say about that? I don't know. But yeah, that's just me.
Okay, nice. How can we, the audience, help you in your business?
Just keep being great, Show
what if
up.
people aren't great?
Huh?
What if some people aren't great?
Then just leave.
Leave.
I'm super passionate about our reputation as realtors and showing up for each other and, being the best people we can be, because we get a bad rap sometimes, you know what I mean? And I was talking to Erica about the other day, when a client says to you, oh, that was easy, you 3 days of work? And your ego shows up and you're like, you didn't see my late nights and my early mornings and all the phone calls I had to make. But then, where I really speak from, it's like, yeah, that's how it should feel. As a professional, you should look at me and be like, wow, that was so easy. You know, that's how it should feel. So don't let them, you know, guilt you into how much you get paid. You get paid a lot to make their lives a hell of a lot easier than they would be without you.
Yeah.
So as agents, just keep doing what you're doing. Stay up, be great, keep our commissions strong, you know?
Yeah.
We're not discount people.
No, we're not.
You're worth it.
Bridgett, where can people find you and your team?
At the Tucson Agents on Instagram, and my personal Instagram is at Tucson Agents.
Perfect. And guys, you know that if you want to hang out with Allie and I as well, we are Allie the Agent, ALI, and the Shelby Show on the gram. So make sure you holler, send Bridgett some DMs, send us some DMs. We'll all write back. We'll be best friends forever. It'll be amazing. And Bridgett, that is our show for today. Thank you so much for coming on and hanging with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was really nice.
Yeah, it was great getting to know the deep dive into your business of someone that I've respected since I became an agent. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on today.
Thank you.
Perfect. And that is it. Guys, when you're listening, be a bro and share the show. Whoop, that's it. Peace. Thanks for listening, dude. If you want the golden nugget that this guest provided, see the show notes or just go straight to theagentgoldmine.com. That's where we keep the resources for you. Till next time.